Good morning, BX members and guests. Edward Callaway was up here in my position 2 weeks ago providing stories of leadership and bad leaders he had encountered during his career. And that Xcite presentation, I changed my whole presentation based on, I wanted to give you backstory because what I'm doing now for the last 2 years is similar but completely different trajectory than I was doing the previous 17 years. So, you need to know when to leave the environment. If you encounter bad leaders and bad mentors, you need to know when to leave. Trust your gut. You need to have an exit strategy. So my presentation is how to be authentic to grow your business 10x. So a little bit, I've known Randy McCord for like a decade, but a lot of you may be new to me. So I ran a worldwide IT repair franchise from 2005 to 2021, and I found quickly within about 5 years that I was at sales ceiling. I could not sell anymore. I had a huge team, and I went through business coach after business coach after business coach, and I'm like, why are we having all these growth problems? And we were told to, increase leads, increase reach out, increase marketing, this, increase conversion, all this stuff, and it worked. But it was always short-lived, right? So I had this team of like 5 to 10 technicians at any one point, and we were just having a lot of problems, right? So I knew at 2010 I had a problem, and I didn't do anything about it for 9 years. So I was stuck I loved what I did, helping people with technology, but I was stuck for 9 years, right? So in 2019, my wife's like, "You're miserable. You have to change what you're doing because I can't live with you anymore." And I'm like, okay, fine, right? So she knew what I was doing was wrong, but I needed some guidance, right? So 2019, I found Grant Cardone, the 10X rule, and I joined the original 10X mentorship group November 1st, 2019, right? And then I started my new business, 2021. 2 years of doing that to get the courage to start fresh. So when I started with, I said November 2019, I started implementing all the strategies in the 10X reel pretty much. November 2019 was my best month ever in the business, and I'm like, okay, they're onto something with this book, right? I was talking to the mentorship team, and 10X is based out of Grant Cardone's office, Miami, Florida. So I was talking to them pretty much every single week. And they're like, dude, the business vehicle you're in, the business model you're in, it's wrong. Like, you need to escape. And I'm like, how do you escape when you've been running a business that long and you've got all these people counting on you to, they're earning a living through my business, right? So I'm like, how do you change? So December, again, just record month. So January 2020, right before COVID, we had every year we'd have this big conference out in Calgary, Alberta, where all the leaders would get together, and everybody's asking me, how did you double your sales? How did you do it? And I'm like, oh, well, I'm implementing all the strategies out of the 10X rule. And they're like, okay, perfect. And I'm like, I knew since Miami was telling me that I had to get out of that business model. I'm like, well, do I keep doing the same business model that I've been in for 14 years, all that sweat equity that you put in? Do I stay there? Or do I start from scratch? And I decided to stay because I was given permission in January of 2020 to start, changing all of our business rules and systems. So I was like, okay, perfect. I'm going to start doing this. And January was good. February was good. March hit. Everything shut down for 2 weeks, which we all know turned into like 2 years. So a lot of people in the last 2-3 years have changed their business, change their business, change their career direction. We all went through changes in the last 2 or 3 years, including me. So let's see, April 1st came. I'm like, okay, business is pretty much shut down. How am I gonna, help everybody to pay their bills? So I started kept going through the 10X rule, and I'm like, okay, let's test all the business systems out. So call center. I was told we had a 24/7 call center. That was a lie. They stopped answering the calls after 6 p.m. Everything went to voicemail. So I set up my own call center. tested out the email marketing strategies where we were using, and I'm like, this really isn't working. So I set up my, I just started testing all the systems I had been using for 14 years, and I'm like, everything's broken. I literally have to go and make new systems, implement them, test them, and then bring that to the leadership. So I did that all of 2020. I was always top 3, top 5 in the business I was in. Well, I was number 1 all that year. So I'm like, okay, these rules and strategies actually work. Fast forward to December 2020, and it's year end, and I've got the Zoom call with the leadership in Toronto. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a congratulatory meeting. Complete opposite. That's when all the discipline, it was a disciplinary call. They're like, okay, you're changing everything. We see your business is growing, but you're changing everything that is set by the franchise. So now you're going to be penalized with financially. They're like all these penalties started to come in, and I'm like, I have to talk to a lawyer. I had to talk to a lawyer and figure out how I'm going to get out of this situation. So we had plans to leave January. That turned into August 1st, just because I was in a bunch of contractual obligations with my clients, and I didn't want to let the clients down. So I just dealt with all this pressure in 2021. So anyway, this leads. I just want to give you a little bit of a background on how I started from scratch and built what I'm doing right now in the last 2 years, because it's double what I had before, and it's just using all the 10X principles. So my title of this is How to Be Authentic to Grow Your Business 10X. Okay, so there's 3 building blocks of business that I have found through all my mentors I've met through the 10X rule. So building block number 1, purpose. Building block number 2, authenticity. And building block number 3, omnipresence. So with purpose, this comes from my mentor, Dr. Miriam. That's who I went to Dubai to see in person, because I'm like, this person has been implementing 10X rule for 2 years, and she's blown up this huge coaching business, right? Okay, there is, what is purpose? In the 10X rule in training, if we don't understand the meaning of a word, we need to open the dictionary and look up the definition. Dictionary definition of purpose, the reason for our existence. My mentor, Dr. Miriam, says her purpose is to help you embrace your authentic self to serve your bigger purpose. Purpose has 4 pillars. Your gifts. You were born with these gifts. The gifts are your building blocks of your purpose. Do you know what your gifts are? Have you identified them along your life's journey? Second pillar, passion. Definition of passion. Any powerful or compelling emotion or feeling. What are you most passionate about in your life? Third pillar of purpose, values. Individual beliefs that motivate people to act one way or another. They serve as a guide for human behavior. Fourth pillar of purpose, monetization. The act or process of making an income from something that otherwise would not generate revenue. So my purpose is to be an authentic human who continually re-educates humanity on the importance of having a data backup plan and recovery strategy to reduce your stress and financial well-being when there's an emergency like flood, fire, theft, user error, hackers, right? So I just mentioned authenticity. Authenticity is building block number 2 of a successful business. What is authenticity? This definition comes from Gary Brecka. He's the owner of 10X Health Systems. So if you look him up on YouTube, his whole business is about authenticity and helping you live your best life and healthy life and reversing the damage of pharmaceuticals and diet and bad exercise, etc. Authenticity is the most powerful frequency to leave the human body. Where does this frequency come from? Your brain. It is scientifically measured to be 4,000 times more powerful than the frequency of love. Let that sink in. To be successful in a given field, we've been taught our whole lives to follow your passion and find what you love to do, and the rest will fall into place. However, I find a lot of business owners, they love what they do, but if they're not 100% sold on it, their business kind of hits a little bit of a stress and things just fall apart because they're not 100% sold on what they're doing. To be authentic, you must be truthful, honest, and be 100% sold on your ideas and 100% believe in your purpose in life. People are attracted to the frequency of authenticity. Your current and future clients are attracted to your 100% belief in your products and services. So, building block number 3 business, omnipresence. Definition: widely or constantly encountered, common, or widespread. How widely distributed is your marketing content and communication? Is your brand a household name? If not, how do we get there? A lot of people like doing swag and handouts, which is great. It reminds you that you're in business. It reminds your current and existing clients you're in business. But in order to 10x your business, you need to hit 10 times the amount of people that you do. So if you have 10 clients, you want those 10 people to refer you to 10 people. Easiest way to do that, what Sergey does, video. And that is why I joined MupoEntertainment.com 2 years ago when I started my Don't Get Hacked business, is I wanted to help business owners with their tech, but also help them build their business. And I wanted to help them exponentially reach people. And the easiest, cheapest thing to do is video. So anyway, that was my 10-minute timer. So there's the three. It's purpose, authenticity, and omnipresence. So you need all those three. You also need, obviously, proper systems in place to track everything, but video. I do live streaming every day, and we've seen it last 2 months, like 10, 20,000 people viewing each video. And I've been doing this for 2 years straight. So it takes time to build your omnipresence.